Hey, what's up, everybody? BDL44 coming at you with another video. All right, so for an hour today, I talked about some of the frustrations I have with the LA Lakers. And I had some information I could have been picking up that would have made that conversation just as relevant. Jalen Hood-Schifino decided not to pick up his option, the team option for the third year, allowing him to be an unrestricted free agent at the end of the season. And one of the things I was complaining about for a good 20 minutes was picking him over some of the other options, including Cam Whitmore, of whom would have been my favorite of the picks that we had choices from at that point. So, you know, that thing just didn't work out, man. That whole situation, it was bad from the jump. It really was. He was the wrong type of point guard, the wrong level of point guard as it pertains to his age and how much he needed to grow before becoming a player. It was a very ill-advised selection with your 17th overall pick when you have so few assets to take a point guard that needed a lot of work, and then from there projected to not be very athletic. It was just not good at all. And it's one of the things I really find myself most frustrated. You know, someone in the comment section said that they felt like we were paying for past mistakes, and that's exactly what it is. Sometimes it's just too expensive to fix your problems. Sometimes you've already fixed problems and now you don't have enough to fix the problems you currently have. And that's kind of where we're at. And I keep saying that on this channel, that it just comes down to Bron and AD being too expensive for us to build around at this point, based on mistakes that we made while they've been here. Now it's like we're not necessarily the best circumstance to build a champion around him. We're not the best team for that right now. And that's, unfortunate because, they want to be here. Jeannie wants to keep them. But it's not feasible to build something that's going to make it so that all that makes sense. And so you're hoping to get lucky. You're hoping the market works with you, for which is a bad bet for us because the market doesn't work with the Lakers. It works against the Lakers, and we all know that. So we're signing up to be mediocre. And because people know the ceiling is capped off under championship, they are doing other stuff, like putting Bronny on the team. If we were a serious franchise who could build a champion, I don't know that we even go this route, giving him a 4-year deal. Maybe LeBron still demands he's on the team. But if the ceiling was championship with what it is that we could potentially be doing, I don't know if he goes about it that way. I don't know if we even are forced to do that. You know what I mean? And so that's just my opinion. I don't know. I don't have anything behind that to really, prove my point of view on that, or my speculation on that. This is what I think is probably going on. I just think that we're doing other stuff that is only done when people don't believe they can win a championship. And so, I don't know, man. I want the Lakers to win. Don't get it twisted. I'm always rooting for us to win. But I just think our ceiling is well below championship. And we had a nice start to the season, so it made you think, well, maybe. But the problems the team has are still in place. The problem the team has is that they can't build a solid enough team around AD and Bron, so the bench is not very strong. And that's the problem that the Lakers got right now. So do I expect that things are going to get better? Not unless people can grow faster than they're expected to grow. Not unless players can develop quicker than they're expected to develop. And that's unfortunate because we really do have some guys that are in real prominent roles that still need a lot of work. They're not exactly NBA players right now. They're not exactly ready to be who it is that they're going to be asked to be right now. So what do? You say, well, maybe we make trades. Well, because everybody knows that that's your problem, when it's time for you to make trades, you may not necessarily have leverage to make the right trades. Now people want you to pay more because they know you're desperate. They know you need to improve your team. They know that your players aren't ready for the roles you have them in. And they know that they can fleece you because of that. So that's what people need to keep in mind at all times. You don't have the leverage to make trades that are going to make you better either. The stuff that you're giving away is going to have some other stuff attached to it, and maybe you don't find yourself better for moving on from. And maybe it will tank your future entirely if you do it that way. So how expensive is it to build a championship around LeBron James and AD right now? Too expensive is the answer. What was the proper thing for the Lakers to do under those circumstances? Well, based on what is needed to build a champion, you tear it down. You don't give LeBron James a no-trade clause. You sign him to something that is tradable, and you trade him for what it is that you need. And then you're in a position to be effectively able to possibly build something that's good enough, or restart and have a new vision for something that could be good enough. But as long as you're working the way you're working right now, you don't have enough. And unless you get lucky or call in a favor from somewhere and make a promise you probably aren't responsible for keeping later on, you probably won't get the leverage you need to make the trade necessary to get your team to be where you want it to be. How expensive is it to build around Bron and AD? Too expensive. It's just like somebody having not a lot of money but want to take on the most expensive car. Yeah, they gave you the car for free, but can you afford the insurance? Can you afford the upkeep? If the answer is no, then that's not really an asset, is it? If you can't afford to fill her up, that thing is just going to be sitting somewhere, losing value by the second, mind you. So that's kind of how that works. It's the same thing with a basketball team. That ain't no different. And so the most responsible thing for the Lakers to do, if championship is first, is to trade everything that's worth anything for assets that can help you reset the whole thing. But nobody wants to do that. Why? Because championships aren't first. What's first? Revenue. And Bron and AD bring all the revenue in the world. People always want to come see them all over the country. Even if you go to other countries, people are going to want to see them play ball and pay a lot of dollars to see them play ball. So if that's the most important thing, then of course you're not going to have a championship. Of course you're not going to be good enough to build anything that can make a championship happen. And of course your fan base is going to be unhappy. Your players are going to be unhappy. And that's kind of where we're at. You bring in a bunch of people that you can blame for why things go wrong, when really the blame is because you wouldn't have done what was best to build something good enough in the first place. And so this whole Jalen Hood-Schifino thing was just doubling down on the wrong decision, because we really needed something last year in the draft that could have been great for the team. But we took some kid that needs to develop, that was more or less providing the same problems as existing players on the team. He's not athletic. Other guys we have aren't athletic. He's not particularly a great three-point shooter. Other guys we have on the team isn't a great three-point shooter. So when do you get something that fixes your problem? When you take on stuff that's more the same. It's just, it was a bad vision, and you couldn't afford to have a bad vision. Everything you had needed to be able to develop quickly and display itself properly so that somebody would want it when it's time to make trades, and then you could trade the good stuff that you've developed for the stuff that you need to get good enough. That's what you needed to do. You took on a project player who was going to need like 2 and 3 years to develop. You didn't have that type of time. So like the whole vision was bad, and now we're in a space where people are demanding that we get better, and it's not possible. No one's going to give you good players for underdeveloped players that aren't playing well. No one's going to do that. Who's doing that for you? You know what I'm saying? You got to find somebody that's willing to do that for you. And so that's the problem with the Lakers right now. The starting lineup looks good. We have some players that are playing well, breaking out. Austin Reeves playing some great ball. Ruiz playing some great ball. But unless you're ready to trade those two, which I can argue if you do that, you're not getting better. You may get something really good, but now you got new problems that come from them being absent. So like your team is still gonna have holes in it. It's not doable. Right now, it's just not doable to build a champion. We gotta get lucky, man. We needed Jalen Hood-Schifino to have a career year. We need Dalton Knecht, the guy we just drafted, to be the rookie of the year. You need AD to basically be MVP. You need Rui Hachimura to be the most improved player. Like, you need all these type of things at that level in order for your team to be good enough to win a championship, in my opinion. And that's just not realistic. It's not realistic. So now people are trying to work around the margins, looking for somebody to blame, hoping for the best, and all different other stuff that does not lead to much success, man. That's where we're at right now. And even though the team started off on a good start, 3 wins in a row against good teams, now we've dropped 2 in a row after that. And it's reality check. Your bench is not good, and you're asking too much of the guys who are playing well, and they're starting to get worn down early. That's what it is. So, in a nutshell, as a Laker fan, man, I've been a Laker fan my entire life, as you guys know. I'm not excited about the direction our franchise is going in, but I am encouraged by the fact that we're not willing to give up any more future first-round picks to make this team just marginally better. I know that's what everybody's saying, that's consensus. Let's do what we need to do. But I just think we've done enough of those type of things to where now it's difficult to do certain things, and it's because of decisions like that. At some point in time, you just got to cut your losses, accept that you've made mistakes, and ride out the process of what you have, because it's about as good as it's going to get without doing more damage. You see what I'm saying? We don't want to do more damage. So I get it. Everybody wants the team to be better. But how much better can they get without giving up so much that you ultimately find yourselves having future teams later that you have even less to work with to improve upon? So that's the problem. I don't want the Lakers to do anything else. I do want the team to improve, but I understand that it's just not feasible right now. It's not possible. And because it's not possible, this is as good as it gets. I think we need to make moves within our roster, maybe bring up some guys from the G League, send some guys down, waive some people. That seems like something that we can do. If there's a marginal trade that you can make somehow, you find somebody that has something that fits a little better than what it is you have, but something that they don't want. You know what I mean? Or find somebody who could use Cam Reddish, if such a team exists, and are willing to part ways with something fine, so to speak. Not great, but fine. That's the type of move the Lakers need to make, man. The little stuff, the little moves that are going to make you fit a little better. Lateral moves, but moves that fit better. An athletic guard. More of a center. Because that's really about as good as it gets. What you can always do is lateral moves that fit better than the moves you have in place right now. The players you have in place right now. That is possible. But even then, people are going to try to fleece you because they know you need to even do that. But there's always a player on the back of a bench somewhere that somebody doesn't want, or an expiring contract of a player that they know probably wants to go to a big market anyway. You know what I mean? So they're probably going to lose him. And they don't want to lose him for nothing, so they'd rather at least bring something in. That's the type of moves the Lakers need to be making. And Rob Pelinka, is going to have to prove he can do that in this collective bargaining agreement that really does restrict people from making even the most marginal, simple moves. And that makes it even more difficult because we made decisions that we ultimately were going to want to undo. And then this collective bargaining agreement came into play and made it so that we couldn't even do that. So, for those who are saying the Lakers need to make marginal moves, assuming it's possible to even do so, assuming you'll even find a partner that wants to dance with you. So that is why it's like, look, man, I genuinely believe that the Lakers need to call up guys from the G League like Quincy Olivari and Amel Traore and give them legitimate minutes on the bench. I really think that. I think those two should probably be our 7th and 8th man at this point. Because our 7th and 8th men aren't very good right now. And the upside of those players aren't very good. It's the truth. I'm thinking of a couple guys by the name of Max Christie, who's proven himself to basically be a G League guy right now. And ain't nobody going to send him to the G League because they just paid him, even though he probably should be down there getting reps and working on some things. I think of a guy like Gabe Vincent, who's pretty much who he's going to become There's no upside from here on a fairly expensive contract for a guy that's not very productive. Nobody's going to want him in the trade market. Not anybody knows what the hell they're doing. You know, obviously Dalton Connect, you want to move him? Hell no, nobody wants to move Dalton. But like, that's the most important piece on our bench that someone would be willing to make a trade for. Stuff you don't want to give away. And that's what it comes down to, Lakers. It's the stuff that you don't want to give away that everybody's going to be willing to make moves for. What's up with Dalton Connect? What's up with Rui Hachimura? What's up with Austin Reeves? That's what they're going to want to take from you. You're going to want to move Cam Reddish, Gabe Vincent, Jackson Hayes, Jalen Hood-Schifino. Nobody wants that stuff. D'Angelo Russell. Ain't nobody wants that stuff, y'all. They don't want it. You don't even want it. So it's like, you stuck, man. You stuck. You made bad decisions with the choices that you made with your roster. Bad choices in players. And that's where I get irritated, I guess, and that's what the conversation was in the last video. It's just, we had a certain amount to work with, and we just chose stuff that ultimately couldn't help us. Like, we want Jalen Hood-Schifino. No, you don't. Not with your 17th overall pick. We want Gabe Vincent. No, you don't. Not when you got Jalen Hood-Schifino and D'Angelo Russell. Like, no, you don't. We don't want Cam Whitmore. Yes, we do. We want Cam Reddish. No, we don't. Like, those were things within our control when we decided. We could have chosen different directions to go with those decisions. You know, you could have created a roster spot for a guy like Gary Trent. He would have been the best player on your bench. Well, we didn't want to do that because we wanted to honor Bronny James' 4-year deal, knowing he can't help us, knowing you needed players who could help you. It's like you did these things to yourself, LA. Your players can't help you. And you're not in a position to where you can afford to have players on your team that can't help you. So what does that look like when you do that to yourself? How does that look in the trade market when people know that you have a roster spot that you're not going to be willing to put into a trade? Isn't that why we always shun no trade clauses? Because it's essentially a piece that I can be docked for not being available to trade with. A team knows that I have stuff that I can't move, and maybe they can convince me that they wanted that, and since they can't get it, they're upset about it, forcing us to push different things to the front of the line instead of everything to the front of the line to be traded. I mean, these are things that hurt your leverage. So, by way of what the Lakers have done, not only do they have Bron on a no-trade clause, but they also have Bronny on an invisible no-trade clause because everybody knows damn well we're not going to trade him. And even if we were choosing to trade him, nobody wants him. Maybe Cleveland would, since they love him more than they love their own damn team. But other than that, nobody's going to want Bronny James underdeveloped. You see what I'm saying? So now you got two players that nobody wants, or they're rather that you are not willing to trade for better or for worse. And if I'm on the other side of the negotiation table, I'm making you pay for that. You don't have the leverage that you ultimately would have had if everybody was open season, basically. So, like, you just back yourself into a corner trying to be, you know, this Bron team. And, you know, LeBron James wasn't wise for allowing you to do it, in my opinion, because he might have secured him and his son a place in this roster, but he also secured they ain't going to be able to build any damn thing that's any good to play for. And nobody was going to trade Bron any damn way. If they were going to do that, they did it when it made the most sense to do so, which was before he hit free agency and had all the leverage to make people draft him and his son. But Jeannie's in a different space right now as it pertains to she wants to honor something like this. To me, from a personal and emotional standpoint, she ain't thinking about trades and how possible it is to make trades if you do certain things and vice versa. She's thinking, I want this done in a Laker uniform. I'm my daddy's daughter and all this other stuff that doesn't do nothing for making our team better, if I'm being completely frank with everybody. I just gather she's making that decision just because she has an affinity for this type of thing. It doesn't help us get to where we're trying to go. Not if it pertains to keeping up with the standards of the Lakers. Nah, it don't help. I'll tell you right now, Bron and Bronny being on the same team is lovely, but them being on the same team and getting bounced in the first round doesn't hit the same. It don't hit the same because LeBron James is used to being in the finals every year. So it's a failure. And if the choice to do this makes it a failure because of existing decisions, then we're really doing the wrong thing. Maybe she's sending a message to Wembanyama and Luka Doncic that she's willing to go all in for them in the future. But if doing so is a damn mistake anyway, and if by doing so you're never going to be able to build anything that can win, then maybe you shouldn't be making that promise to the future stars. They're going to play somewhere, and nobody else is making them promises but you. And maybe Milwaukee. So they're going to land somewhere where those promises are not being put out there, just by default of the fact that nobody else is willing to do this stupid stuff. Like the decisions, you know what I mean? And this is why people are so frustrated. It's because some of the stuff that we're doing is not driven by winning championships. It's driven by the image of looking regal and special, as opposed to actually being regal and special. The image. We are doing this, we're celebrating that, we do party this, party that. The team's losing. This was the problem I had last year. Every time we celebrate any damn thing, we're getting blown out by the Denver Nuggets. I don't care about the appearances of celebration. I care about the integrity of winning that causes natural and organic celebration. That is the essence of what this is about. Not putting on costumes, and I know it's Halloween, but not putting on the costume as if you are dressing up as a champion, but actually digging in and making yourself one. And I just think that most people who are paying attention to this team share the idea that that's what we're doing. We're acting like champ. We're acting like we're special. We're acting like the Lakers are supposed to act, as opposed to behaving the way the Lakers behaved to create the culture of being someone that should act as if they're celebrating all the time. You see what I'm saying? It's like she's putting on a play or something. It's like a reality show where everybody acts like something that it's really not. You act like you got a problem with somebody when you really don't, or you act like everything's wonderful when you really got problems. Like, we're faking it. And the sad thing is we wouldn't have to if it wasn't so expensive to fake it. That's the irony of it. You got Anthony Davis, one of the best players in basketball. You don't need to fake it around him. You just bring him a real good team and you're going to have every reason to celebrate. He's going to put you in a position to celebrate. He's going to put you in a position to feel great about yourself because you're going to be doing a lot of winning. But you ain't going to be doing a lot of winning if you pantomiming around the man, putting on plays around him, so to speak. Prioritizing everything but winning. Let's put a statue up for this. Okay, let's go over here and do that. All right. Let's give him a 4-year deal. Okay. Let's draft him because he looks like Kobe. All right. Can any of these people play? No. No. He looks like a star. Bring him here. He looks like he represents us well. Bring him here. Like, none of that. Can these people play basketball, fam? Can these people look good in a trade market when it's time to put them up for trade? If the answer is no, then you're doing it wrong. And I really think that Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss have been doing it wrong for a couple of years now, man. They've been doing it wrong. And look, I've been very lenient as it pertains to how much I'm willing to come down on them. Especially Jeannie, because she's been very classy, and I've been very appreciative of the things she stood for, and I like the team for the most part that she's had under her tutelage, or her reign, or whatever the word would be. But lately, over the last 2 years, we have sold our soul to Clutch and Bron, and it ain't leading us to being good enough for it to make sense. in any area that the fan would care about. You know, not in any area we actually give a damn about. I like having Bron and AD on my team, but it's not good enough to win. Our bench is awful. And it's only awful because each and every little move we made it so that we either brought something to us that wasn't any good for the wrong reason, or we got roster spots being wasted for that same reason on players that can't help us at all. Or God knows why Cam Reddish had a player option. That's another thing. Where does Cam Reddish having a player option fall in all of this? Is Cam Reddish a clutch client? Because that would make so much more sense to me. Who's his representative? And why the hell did they have the ability to ask for a player option on a player who was unproven, if anything, had proven himself to not be good, more or less, everywhere he's been? He's been a bust the whole time. And we, without even ever having him on our team, thought it was a good idea to give him a player option? And look how bad Max Christie's playing right now. You do understand you gave him a player option just now? If he don't get much better than this, we got another bad player on a player option. Meaning they have a choice on whether or not they stay or leave it. As opposed to like Jalen Hood-Schifino, where we had a team option and get to get rid of him if we want to at the end of the season. Or renegotiate on something that is dirt cheap because he ain't proven to be anybody in this league. Player options should be reserved for players that actually look good in the trade market. Cam Reddish ain't looked good in no trade market since he was drafted. Why in the blue hell does he have a player option? And how does that trickle down to us? Not getting Gary Trent Jr., not having the ability to keep a guy like Scottie Pippen Jr., I believe. All these players we gave up. Some of which I wanted, some of which I didn't. Guy like Castleton is gone because of that reason. Because we just don't have a roster spot. Guy like Quincy Olivari earns a roster spot, but you can't give him one because of these choices. It's just like, yo, man, how many of these little bitty mistakes that ultimately make it out to be a really bad thing do we endure without really getting to a point where we start calling for people to move on? That's the question, Rob Pelinka. That's what. How many of these little moves that have gone wrong on your watch is BDF 44 supposed to sit and endure before he starts looking at you as the problem, sir? Because I think more people have come to that conclusion than I've been willing to, sooner rather than I've been willing to. I ain't been wanting to do that. I like Rob Pelinka. I like some of the stuff we've done under Rob Pelinka's watch. But there's more of the stuff that I'm upset about that I think was Rob Pelinka's choosing, fault, so to speak. And I'm starting to see it come together. Max Christie playing really poorly is a new one. Though I told y'all that I thought he would struggle early, and I'm still hopeful he will get better, but we're in a space right now where I got to look at him as a mistake. Because I got a feeling some of the deficiencies he has and some of the things that frustrate me about him aren't really, he don't really have upside in some of them areas, man. I think some of them problems going to be problems forever. Some stuff he's going to get a lot better at. Some stuff, I don't think he has much upside in ball handling. I really don't. I don't think his passing upside is decent at all. I really don't. So, like, at some point in time, I got to look at his player option as a mistake. And the fact that you drafted him because he looked like Kobe is more of a problem than a solution for what it is that we ultimately needed. Now, hopefully Max can prove me wrong. I'm not all out on Max. It's too early. I predicted all these struggles, so far be it for me to be out on a guy. But this, as bad as he's looking right now, is something that I'm really unhappy about. And it's mainly because the rest of the stuff that we have is also playing terrible. Mainly. If he was the only one playing bad and we had a bench full of great players, not much of a problem in my mind. That's not what's going on. We need him, and he's really not doing us anything positive right now. So that's what it comes down to. I need the LA Lakers to really take a look at a few things, man. When as it pertains to the choices that have been made to bring certain players to our team, as we talked about for an hour on the way to the train station, and the stuff that we're talking about now on the way home. The team ain't on the level, and it's because of choices that people made. Not just because we're in a space where we've made past decisions that were no good, but because within the confines of having these restrictions because of past decisions, we also shouldn't be making some of the decisions that we're making right now. Certain players and things like that. That stuff shouldn't be done. You don't pass up on no damn Cam Whitmore for no reason. I don't care if they tell you he ain't playing for a damn year. You're going to take him over Jalen Hood-Schifino every time, bro. And I'm more mad at myself for not being angry enough that day. Because when I look back at my video that day, I was like, well, we're being responsible. I hate that we did it, but it makes sense. No, hell no, it did not. It made terrible decisions. It was a terrible decision. It made absolutely no sense. And the further out we get into this situation, and now that we've declined his player option, he's likely to be playing for Portland or some crap next year. Hell no, that didn't make no sense. It was the worst decision we could have possibly made in that circumstance. And the fact that, or the understanding, because I don't know if this is a fact or not, but the report that Rob Pelinka, overrode our scouts who were telling him to take Cam Whitmore so that he could take this kid that he had a hunch about, makes me not trust him and his hunches very much. Like, if this is what you thought just had to be done, we are in trouble. And look, I like the trade that got us D'Lo Russell and Vanderbilt. We needed to get Russell off of our backside. But I'm going to tell you guys something that I don't think anybody wants to hear. I want my damn pick back. I don't make that trade if I knew how it was going to play out. I know we went to the Western Conference Finals. I don't give a damn about that. We could have very easily gotten ousted in the first round, got a better pick. I think it would have been better for our franchise. Just being honest. If we would have got ousted and not made the playoffs that year, we probably would have got a better player out of the draft. It would have had a better pick than 17, which ultimately turned into Jalen Hood-Schifino. I don't particularly care for what I'm seeing right now, Lakers, and I know that that's low-hanging fruit given that we were just so excited when we were on a 3-game winning streak. But the problems that we had when we were winning, the same problems we have when we losing, it's not nothing different. The bench is not good, man. The bench is very bad. It's very bad. We got a bunch of stuff on that bench, can't help us. And we know it. And it's going to lose confidence by the second. The more it has to do more and the less it's able to perform. And the only thing that's going to fix those problems is if we attach more first-round picks to make somebody enticed enough to take our trash and give us anything worth having. I don't know how Rob Pelinka is going to fix this, or if this is a fixable thing, or if he could find a way to get a good trade going, which, you know, it's rough, man. It's rough. Because I don't know if the evidence shows me that that's going to be the case. Based on everything we just talked about, I have every reason to believe that maybe we wouldn't be able to find a good trade, even if there was one out there, or that we would identify it wrong because of preferences in players, which we've been complaining about all day. But I'm telling y'all, man, there's a few things the Lakers need to really do. And I don't know that Rob Pelinka is going to be able to pull them off. I'm just being honest. I don't know if he can do those things. Now, I don't know that those things can't be done. I'm just saying I don't know if he's going to be able to do it. I like, and I've said this once today already, I like the fact that he's conservative with picks. I like that. I also wish we would have traded that 17th overall pick from 2 years ago instead of taking Jalen Hood-Schifino and passing up on Cam Whitmore. So based on how it played out, maybe I should have been on the side of being less conservative with that particular pick. But all in all, I think for a team like us, you want to have your picks more so than not, especially when you have great scouts, so long as you're willing to listen to them when it's time to make those picks. I'm telling y'all, man, I just think some of the mistakes that we've made are undoable. I mean, they're not undoable. You can't fix them. They're ironclad, set in stone. I don't think we can fix some of these problems, Laker Nation. I really don't. Not without creating more problems. So if that's the dynamic, am I really going to be judging Rob Pelinka from anything that happens from here? Or is it already set in stone that he's ruined our situation? And the answer is he didn't do it by himself. Obviously, Jeannie had a lot to do with that because of her choices in bringing people to our team that can't necessarily help us for reasons that ain't got nothing to do with winning. It ain't all his fault. But some of the stuff that was his fault, I think it's already done. Like, the stuff that's going to make me further unhappy is stuff that's already done. As the guy said in my comment section, the mistakes that we're paying for are the mistakes that were made years ago. I don't know how to think around that right now, is the best way I know how to describe what I'm trying to say. Maybe this is as far as my intellect will allow me to think. I can't help but feel like Rob Pelinka's already ruined our situation based on the choices he made and the inability to undo those things. And the need for us to undo those things in order to get good enough to win. I can't say that I feel all that great right now. With the new data that we have of players that we chose to bring to our team still not playing well for whatever set of reasons. That's what it is. I didn't feel bad about Max Christie until he started getting on the floor showing me he's not ready. I didn't know I was going to feel bad about Jalen Hood-Schifino to start the damn season. I thought he would have gotten better in the offseason. You see what I'm saying? Certain stuff like that. Gabe Vincent was hurt last year. He come back, he's not very good. Okay, do I wait for him to keep? Is he still working himself into his form? What does that look like when he does? You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of this stuff is inconclusive. What does our team look like when Vanderbilt's on it? Is he ever going to be healthy enough to play? If not, were we not sold a lemon and gave away a first-round pick to do it? When you consider that trade has brought us back three things that are not very good right now. Malik Beasley was trash until he moved on. Vanderbilt ain't played but 25 games. D'Lo Russell ain't done nothing but disappoint the whole time. That wasn't a good trade, fam. I'm just being honest with y'all. When you look at the pieces we got back, ain't none of that stuff any good. And we gave up a first-round pick. Everybody loves Vanderbilt, so they ain't going to tell the truth about it. We ain't seen him very much. They ain't going to tell the truth about that piece. But when you look at the value of what we got back, it looked good in the short term. We got to the Western Conference Finals that year, so it looked great for what we were trying to accomplish. But as it went along, as time continued to progress, it didn't do nothing for us. None of this stuff is doing anything for us. And we gave away a first-round pick to get it going, to get Russell Westbrook going and to bring that stuff to us. We got screwed by Danny Ainge. Just like everybody else seems to get screwed by Danny Ainge. And he gets to pile on our first-round pick on top of all the other stuff that he's drafting in the first round. I can't help but think that I wish I had Danny Ainge as my GM. What choices would he have made around Bron and AD with these same parameters? You feel me? This is the type of stuff I have to be honest in asking. Does it look the same way if a different person's running it? Or do some of these problems find themselves just being exclusive to who we have in place right now? And should we expect better decisions going forward because of the mistakes already made. And right now I'm making decisions that are not yielding any results. Should we expect the worst from them later on, since the stuff that we've done is aged so poorly? Why do I want Rob to make any more decisions if his decisions all end up hurting in the long run? That's where it becomes a hard thing to assess. It becomes difficult to assess, man. Because I don't know if I should look at him and say, okay, well, he's going to make good decisions from here. Or if I should look at him and say, man, don't make him make another damn decision, because whatever he's going to do, it's not going to yield us the results. Whatever he's going to choose, it's going to end up being worse than what he should have chose. But that's what the history is now starting to roll out to be. The more it unravels, the more time progresses, the worse these decisions look, man. All these different things he chose ultimately made us look as bad as we looked last night, man. The bench is bad, and most of them players on that bench are players he chose. And so that's why I'm like, man, it's still early. We're 3-2. A lot of this stuff is inconclusive until we get everybody back. Christian Wood provides a lot of length. Vanderbilt provides a lot of defense and rebounding. Hey, okay, fine. Maybe I'm going to believe that those injured players are going to come back and be greater, and make it all right. Injured players I'm waiting on that are supposed to come back and be ready to make our team so much better to where all these problems aren't a problem anymore. And mind you, that was the problem last year. We're waiting for Vanderbilt. We waited the whole year for Vanderbilt. He never came. We're waiting for Gabe Vincent. We waited the whole year for Gabe Vincent. He never came. Wait. Sitting up here talking about you can't assess the team properly because we're not healthy. No, you are healthy. That stuff ain't never coming. This is what you had. That was the truth about last year. We were able to run with that narrative all year long. Just got to wait for Gabe to come back. We just got to wait for we got to wait for Jalen to come back. Got to wait for, we're always waiting for something that ain't coming. You know what I'm saying? Like, literally Laker fans. It's always some absentee, injury-prone players that we're sitting here saying, well, we can't assess ourselves properly because until they get here, we're just incomplete. No, you're complete. You're complete. They ain't coming. That was the truth. It may still be the truth, to be honest with you. With Vanderbilt, I don't know how long you think you're going to keep Vanderbilt. The foot injury continuing to be a reoccurring thing. He probably needs to wait a whole year before he plays again. From here. And I ain't heard nothing official. That's just me talking. Koloko. When you get Koloko, we're going to be straight. 2 and 3 players and left the damn team while we're waiting on Koloko. Well, he's coming, though. You sure? Yeah, he coming. How long he going to stay when he get here? How many games of Koloko we going to get when he comes in? Nobody's going to be able to answer that. But that's going to be one of them things that we look at. If he goes down with an injury, it keeps him out for further time. This is yet another one of those. I'm not trying to put that out in the air. I'm just saying that is something that's going to be assessed. If it transpires that way, that's another one of the things. The Koloko's coming. Wood is coming. Vanderbilt's coming. Vincent's coming. Jalen's coming. All these people are hurt all the damn time. Why are they here? Who chose these people? And see, that's where I'm at. That's where BDF 44 is as it pertains to this thing. And I know y'all saying, you overreacting. No, I'm not. Not at all. I don't agree with that sentiment, if that's the sentiment you're saying I have. No. Because these 2 losses did not determine this frustration. It's the ineptitude that's on that bench that is there whether we win or lose that's making me say all of this. Knowing damn well if AD rolls a single ankle, we are out of here as it pertains to getting victories. We're going to get one win a month if that boy rolls an ankle because of how bad this roster is right now. And all these players that we can't properly assess ourselves because they're hurt. All 5 of them, or whatever the hell it is now. Tired of this, yo. I'm tired of this. I get it. Injuries happen. But why are we always forever waiting on key players? Forever waiting on key players, Lakers. Forever waiting on Vanderbilt. I'm tired of that. Not every team has that problem, and if they do, they ain't winning nothing. See, that's the key to it all. Teams that have that problem, they ain't winning nothing. There's a couple teams I can think of that had that problem. There's a couple teams that got rid of those problems and they won championships. Boston Celtics. They were forever waiting on Robert Williams, forever waiting on Malcolm Brogdon. They removed those pieces and they won a championship. Couldn't win nothing while that was the problem. Couldn't assess their team fully when that was the problem. Moved on from that silly stuff. Championship. And people wonder why I'm ready to make trades in regards to Vanderbilt. I don't like this dynamic. I don't care to wait on the dude forever. Only for him to come back for 3 weeks and get hurt again. That's a pattern. It's called being injury prone, Laker fans. No. And then he has a role that makes it so that he's constantly having to bang up against people and jump up and down. Oh, you're asking for it. He gonna get injured. It's a matter of when. His style of play gonna force him into injuries. Just like Robert Williams. So that investment is terrible when you consider it. I just want people to look at things the way I'm looking at it and say, look, as long as people still think Vanderbilt gonna be the best defender ever, you can get something for him. That might be your best bet. You can trade him, since you don't have him any damn way, you ain't gonna miss him. Tell me what the difference is if we trade Vanderbilt right now for a piece that we can actually use. Tell me what it is that you're gonna be missing. Except for the opportunity to wait on somebody coming back forever and ever and ever and ever. But Vanderbilt can guard all these people. Yes, he can when he's healthy. When is he ever healthy? He's not. Vanderbilt can guard De'Aaron Fox. Vanderbilt can guard. He can guard Tyrese Maxey. He can guard. No, he can't guard anybody, fam. He's always in street clothes. Always. You want to call AD street clothes? That man is actually street clothes. And you're telling me that the NBA still thinks he's a great defender? There are teams like Portland that still want him? Okay. Look at him. We'll give you, hey fellas, we'll give you Jared Vanderbilt. You give us whatever would actually play basketball for us. Hello. That's what you do. So that's what I'm telling you guys, man. I just want my Los Angeles Lakers to start shaving off players that we're forever waiting on that are never here anyway, for players that can play for us. Like actually be on the court. Literally. And to identify themselves as a team that has like 5 and 6 players they're forever waiting on. And not furthermore creating more roster spots for players that can't help them on freaking purpose. Like literally. Like literally. That's what's going on there. It ain't enough for us to be the team that's always waiting on the key player to come back. We're also the team that wants to give that guy's son a roster spot. Guaranteed 4 years. Furthermore, reinforcing more of the same problem. It's like, and you wonder why your bench is so shallow. This is why. Because you got these simultaneous no-nos that you're doing constantly. I'm over it, man. I am over it. Rob Pelinka, you got to know I'm over it, brother. I'm over it. This team is bad. And the only reason why we have those 3 wins is because we have Anthony Davis playing at his all-star level and Rui Hachimura playing some of the best ball of his career. That's why we were any good right there. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't win too much from here because the problems we have are real problems. Deficiencies of this roster are real deficiencies. The players that can't help us will not be helping us. And so that's why I think if anybody wants Jared Vanderbilt, if you actually have a market for that player, you really do need to move him. You really do. I'm just being honest. You need to do that. And if you can attach him to all of the other trash, you do that for certain. If I can move Vanderbilt, Cam Reddish, Gabe Vincent, those are the three that need to go for sure. Those three, get them out of here. If you can move them together, if Vanderbilt is enough to entice somebody to take those other two, you do it. Get all that trash out of here, man. No disrespect to those players who I don't think are always trash, but for us in our circumstances, that is exactly how I'm assessing it. It's garbage. And bring me a player like Caris LeVert. I'm not even high on Caris LeVert like that, but that's exactly the type of piece we need. You know what I'm saying? Get me somebody like that, fam. And look, anybody that follows me knows I'm not big on players like that. I think Caris LeVert is injury prone as hell, to be honest with you. I don't know if he's the greatest example. He's healthy right now, but he'd probably get hurt and stay hurt too. But somebody who does what he does, somebody who can score on the bench, so that we're not forced to take players out of our starting lineup to get some scoring on our bench. You know, get us that, please. And I get it. A lot of people are saying, let's bring in, what's the guy, Walker Kessler. But I promise you, Laker fans, you need to understand something. Walker Kessler is a hell of a piece, but he don't solve none of these problems we talking about. If you're not bringing in more players to fill the needs of your bench, you're going to probably not win more than 3 more extra games if you do that. And to get Walker Kessler, you're probably going to have to give up a first-round pick. I'm not willing to give up no first-round pick for Walker Kessler. I like the piece coming in without giving up anything. He really helps us. But in order to get him, you got to give up a lot. You're going to probably have to give up Rui. You're probably going to have to give up first-round pick. You bring in Walker Kessler and remove Rui, now you got a whole nother problem. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't give you the dynamic that you think it does, because now you're missing that power forward that can score some. And Walker ain't a scorer like that. Nor is Walker the greatest bet to stay healthy. So I think people have become enamored with Walker Kessler just like they were enamored with any other piece that they think they can get. DeJounte Murray yesterday. Before that, it was Buddy Hield and Miles Turner. Laker fans always get their mind set on these players. Nick Richards. It's always like, we got to have... No, you don't. No, you don't. You have a broader scope about what's out there. And if you happen to land one of those players for the right price, happy. But it's not like you just need those specific pieces and like they're going to save the world for you. They're not going to save the world for you. None of those pieces were going to actually solve the problem that we have right now. The only way we can really solve these problems is if we're bringing back more playable, fit players. More. You need to trade 1 for 3 is the type of thing you need to be doing. Because if you do not improve this bench, you're just asking people to get hurt, no matter how good they are. They're getting hurt. You're going to overwork them, and they're going to fall. That's it, Laker fans. That's pretty much all. BDL 44. I thank y'all for watching. Bye.